Okay, everyone, we should be live now with Larry. We got about 10 minutes until we actually get started, and we'll start going through this. Are y'all hearing this okay in the chat?
Let me go back to YouTube.
Joseph, can you hear this?
Oh, yeah, we're on.
Sweet.
We're on. I can see us.
Outstanding.
Okay, let me shut this down so I'm not hearing myself talk.
Yep. And that's my cue to get out of here.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, all right. Cool. Hey, guys. All right, so because there's a bunch of you and one of me, Jack's been compiling questions that he's going to feed my way, but we're not going to officially start. We're not going to officially start the thing for like 10 more minutes. So tell your friends that we're on. And okay, so you guys can hear me. Looking good. Yes, that is an Groove It All behind me. I did specifically grab that for this. Except, unfortunately, I have my earphones are in the way. But as you guys can see, it's actually trying to focus there. But yeah, it's legit. Sunny Suttles made this for me, professional swordsmith. But yeah, it's a real, genuine black steel blade, and it's sharp as crap too. By the way, like you can shave with this freaking thing. It is insane. It is. I would whip it all the way out, but like there's not really a lot of room here, and I'd probably spill my soda and knock over my camera. So I'm just gonna try to stash this down here out of the way. Yeah, that's what they don't tell you about swords is they're very large and. Oh, also, I found out the other day, I actually kind of got in trouble for this. I'm not supposed to handle firearms on YouTube. So I will refrain from doing that so they don't kill the channel. Because that's something I discovered the other day when I was on a podcast. Because I do actually have a desk full of guns that tend to get drug out here. Okay, so let me see. I am going to go post on Twitter and Facebook that we are live. Let's see. Going live here in a minute. Which is funny, I typed this and it was only going to show it to like 3% of my followers because that's how the internet works now. And put it on the Monster Hunter page.
Just remember, Larry, they hate you as much as you hate them.
Oh, I know. They hate me so much, and that's okay. And now put it on Twitter, which, strangely enough, I've been having a lot of fun with if you guys follow me over there, because I can see all sorts of stuff that I would get kicked off Facebook instantly for. YouTube page now. Okay. There we go. We'll be getting started here in a minute. All right. Yeah. I'm sure I'll see your live announcement sometime tomorrow. Yes, that's actually probably accurate. That's how it works. I love when it's a time-sensitive thing, and it shows it to you guys 3 days later after the time-sensitive thing had passed. That's what killed book bombs. Between Facebook algorithm tweaking to not show people anything, and Amazon putting in like a 12 or 16-hour delay on the sales rank, just effectively killed book bombs. Because man, we used to have fun with those. Oh, we'd sell 200 to 800 books per day for an author, and they would sell at least that many again. Which you got to understand, guys, 800 books in book terms is insane. For one marketing event, that's a huge amount. But we don't do those anymore, unfortunately, because can't beat the algorithm. So at least I can't figure out how. Okay, so we're going to start going through here. And people are asking if Faust is going to make an appearance. No. When I do a podcast, usually Bridget will distract the dog downstairs. The podcast, because you my internet is not fast. I live out in the middle of nowhere. You guys can't see right now because it's too bright, but there's just nothing behind me. And I have Starlink, which is okay. It's the best you can get in the country. But the protocol here for anytime I'm doing a broadcast is hide the dog, kick everybody off the internet. So, like my kids can't play video games while dad is on this, and the dog is usually distracted. Unless the dog escapes, which is possible because he's very clever, and you might see him come up here and see if I have any food. Well, don't worry, guys. We'll get to the actual stuff here in a minute. Oh my gosh, there's a bunch. Let's see. My Twitter posts are great. Thank you. My voice is similar to Adam Baldwin version. Okay, that's funny because he made me so cheesy, and it was actually I appreciate that because I'm one of the only authors I know who did a self-insert into a book series and actually didn't make myself heroic at all. I just made myself dorky. But yeah, God bless Adam Baldwin. That man is a national treasure, and he is such a good freaking narrator. Like, oh my gosh, yeah, he's so good. Let's see. We got about 5 more minutes, and then I'll start hitting all the questions. Also, I've got stuff bookmarked, ready to go. I've got the entire series here. All right, and I'm going to warn you guys before we go into this that there's going to be a lot of spoilers, so be aware of that. And I am sorry, I did see comments earlier about people who were disappointed that we couldn't wait for the audio. We're doing this now before the audiobook comes out. Believe me, I am more disappointed than you are about the timing of the audiobooks. I love having my audiobook come out the same day as the regular book. That's a huge sales boost, huge velocity boost. So not having that actually really sucks. And but that's the nature of the beast. When we started this series 10 years ago, Tim Gerard Reynolds was a popular narrator. He was a well-respected, popular narrator. 10 years later, he's one of the top narrators in all of audiobooks. And so the man is in super demand. And you basically book him a year and a half in advance. So the nature of publishing is just weird because you have all these different things that take a really long time. And to now get your book all released at the same time just kind of takes the stars to align. And it all really depends on scheduling, on if you can get your people scheduled when you need to schedule them. So it is what it is, unfortunately. Sorry, guys, audio guys. I will happily answer more questions. And also, this will be recorded so that you can go back and play it after you get to listen to the audiobooks. Believe me, I really want to listen to the audiobook too. I love listening to my audiobooks. So, yeah. Okay, let's see where we at. A couple more minutes. Let's see if there's any non-book related questions. Okay, so Jack is gathering questions now, which is good. Okay, yeah, Tim is a top 3 narrator for me, absolutely. Might have to miss chat due to conflict, but my question is simply: are the demons a rogue AI? No, they are not. We will get into that. We're not officially starting yet, but then I'll just say they're not a rogue AI. They are actually produced by a thing, and this is where I'm going to give spoilers for not only Saga the Forgotten Warrior, but also Gunrunner and Lost Planet Homicide. Because they talk. Now, people are asking me, am I doing like the Brandon Sanderson Cosmere thing, where like all 500 of his books in 18 different universes are intertwined? No, I am not. What I am doing, though, specifically is that Saga the Forgotten Warrior, which is to most people a fantasy, is directly tied in with Lost Planet Homicide and Gunrunner. Now, Lost Planet Homicide and Gunrunner explicitly take place in the same universe. And with it, take place in wildly different places, and they're about 100 years apart. However, the Saga the Forgotten Warrior is actually set in that same universe about 1,000 years later. Well, actually, closer to 1,500 years later. Doesn't exactly know how many years we're talking there. But yeah, and I'll get into that in just a minute here. We're about ready to start. Seeing if there's any other non-spoilery related question. Are you planning on doing any gun or weapon training classes upcoming? Because we love to live vicariously. Yes, actually, I have 2 pistol classes coming up in May that I'm doing. I'm looking forward to that. I'm doing one just kind of basic refresher class because I really like the teacher. Melody Lauer is, I think, one of the best diagnostic shooting coaches in America. And then I'm doing another one right after that from a guy named Alex Clark, who, if you're a shooter, you know who Alex Clark is because he's probably one of the top shooters in the world from concealment. This is a man who's won literally everything you can win in that sphere. He's got the highest score at Rogers ever. I believe he's like something like 8 perfect runs or something absurd like that. He's got fast coin, multiple turbo pins. The dude's won everything. Just a fantastic shooter. So yeah, so I'm taking a class from him after that. Then I'm taking a class from October where I'll be. It says that's pistoltraining.com, and so yeah, I'll be doing that. So I got three shooting classes coming up this year, which is pretty good. So I try to stay I try to stay tuned up. I'm a pretty good shooter. Let's see.
Larry, it's close enough. I think we can start.
All right, let's start hitting questions. Okay, so I said Jack is doing the filter thing here for me, and then I'll try to answer everything I can. But we're going to do the spoilery stuff first. Okay, so behind the scenes, like I already was saying a second ago, Gunrunner, Lost Planet Homicide take place together. They're by kind of my sci-fi universe, and I have Saga Forgotten Warriors, my epic fantasy, but they are actually in the same universe. It's just that Saga the Forgotten Warrior takes place a long time after. Now, there's a couple clues to this in Gunrunner. Specifically, I'm going to get this out. There are 2 very overt clues. One of them is when they're talking about Jane. Let's see. So Jane, if you remember, was what they called the Spectre. So basically, she's like a hyper-advanced combat controller. She's genetically engineered, and her whole purpose was her brain was designed to handle a bunch of drones and combat programs and AIs all at one time. Basically, it's like a force multiplier on a battlefield. That's what she was created to do. Her and all her sisters were basically grown to do that. But let's see. So she's talking about Big Town, which is the orbital. Big Town was the exact opposite of the isolated town she'd grown up in on the northern coast of Locke. And a lot of people caught that because Locke is, of course, the continent in Saga the Forgotten Warrior. Also, it's funny because keep in mind, this is one, because you'll see I did this on purpose, something else here. Locke just means land. It's one of the many words for land around the world. In Southeast Asia, it's really common, in actually a bunch of places. Locke is not actually the planet. To the people in Saga the Forgotten Warrior, keep in mind their entire existence is in this one place. To whenever they're referring to where they're from or what their world is, it's Locke. But before that, when there was 9 continents, I believe, the planet had a name. But at the time, it was for the Saga of the Forgotten Warrior and Ashok's time, it's just Locke. So the continent of Locke is actually where Saga of the Forgotten Warrior takes place. And she's from the North Coast. And if you remember the map in Saga of the Forgotten Warrior, what's the North Coast? It's Vidal. So that's where she's from originally. There's some more. Let's see. And this is a scene where the Captain Holloway, who is based on the wonderful Nick Searcy, Captain Holloway is talking to Shade, and he's talking about Jane once again. He wanted to tell her that Jane wasn't just some little orphan stowaway whom he had decided to keep around out of pity. He would have loved to rub it in Shade's face that Jane had been designed from the ground up to be the perfect combat controller, simultaneously running as many bots and programs as a team of normal Spectres could by herself, or that Jane had escaped from the clutches of the most technologically advanced society in human history and fled their isolationist planet where scientists routinely played God with the people's DNA. He was one of the few outsiders who had ever landed on Savat, and he'd seen things there that had blown his mind, like experimental quantum nanotech with capabilities bordering on black magic. Okay, so where have we heard that before? All right, so Experimental quantum nanotech with abilities bordering on black magic. Think about the magic system in Saga the Forgotten Warrior. And what is it? Everything it does is related to energy and matter and rearranging those things. Basically, so yeah, it is quantum nanotech. And once again, I'm not a sci-fi writer like unto David Weber, where my math has to make sense. I'm a hand wavy kind of writer where a wizard did it. But if you think about the stuff in like they have shape shifting into various patterns, where they're basically transforming into like the giant bird or the snake or whatever, and the way it's described, they're basically just rearranging stuff. And you got the scenes early on where Thera is learning about magic at the House of Assassins, and how everything's just bits. Magic is just about taking it's particles that grab those bits and rearrange those bits into different patterns. And so basically all the magic in that is basically coming from this place. I actually got to put it back on the regular comment thing because they're coming in. Okay, so people are talking. Okay. I just had to check that real fast. Okay, so continuing on this. So that's what the magic system in Son of the Black Sword is. So basically on Savat, the isolationist people developed an incredibly powerful new technology that could mold reality to their whim. It's basically, technologically speaking, it's that old, the difference between magic and technology. I can't remember the actual quote. I'm not that smart. So that's what we got going on here. Now, in at beginning of Gunrunner, we have a bit where Jackson Rook's talking about how things are transported, what the faster than light transport method is set up in this universe. And it's gate based. And so when me and John were first writing this, we wanted to go gate based. And that actually played perfectly into what I was doing with Saga the Forgotten Warrior, because I love that kind of thing. And one of the things we wanted to do was the idea of the gate basically is this big thing. Everything's got lined up perfectly. There's a receiving gate at the other end. And then you basically hurl something between one and the other. It's not instantaneous, but it's very, very, very quick. And we had the whole thing where at the beginning, where Jackson's talking about this, where there's ghost ships, where something has gone wrong and a ship got hurled off course to who knows where. Out in the vastness of space, a ship goes through a gate and gets launched someplace else. And where that ship winds up, nobody knows. And it will probably never be found and probably never find its way back because it's just too far away. This space is very, very big. Now, if you've read the Lost Planet Homicide series, you know it is about one of those ships. And it takes place about 100. So actually, in chronologically here, Lost Planet Homicide is the first thing to happen, because it's one of the big ships that Jackson Rook is talking about. And in this case, it was one of the biggest ships ever built. And it's a colony ship that gets launched at the time accidentally off course. They believe accidentally. Now, this is something I can't give too many spoilers for because Lost Planet Homicide is still ongoing. So I can't give too much away there. But if you've read the three of those, you know in the first one, we get into the idea that the colony ship was not launched off course on accident. It was actually malicious. Somebody sabotaged the mission to take this colony ship, was supposed to be going to this idyllic, really, really nice planet, and instead it got launched to a really crappy area of the galaxy where it settled. The only place they can possibly land is on a really horrible planet that basically is the 5 mountain peaks stuck above a sea of endless acid, which they believe is uninhabited, or at least now it is. In the first one, we get into the fact that that's not quite the case. The second one, we get into the fact that, yeah, there was actually some shenanigans going on and that people were actually sabotaging this mission to send mankind there. And there's something to the effect of as a sacrifice, as some sort of science experiment where these human beings, hundreds of thousands of people, were sent to this crapsack planet to appease something. We haven't established what. In the third episode, we actually see one of these things, or a remnant of the species from below the acid. Now, what that thing is scary as hell. And it is not. Somebody asking what created the demons? Is it an AI? No, it is not an AI. Well, so what happened is way back when, before Gunrunner, before Saga of the Forgotten Warrior, we have an alien race that is observing mankind and experimenting upon mankind and using mankind just kind of like to see what we can and can't do and what we are capable of, and if we're worth squishing or not. Fast forward to the Gunrunner timeline, and you have one planet of about, at that time there's about 30 worlds, I believe, that are colonized by mankind. And Savat's this one that's kind of isolationist. Now, most of it is an agrarian society settled by people from India, Southeast Asia. Those are the primary cultures there, which, as you can see in some of the blacks, or that's, this is where we're at 1,000 years later. So on Locke, there's very specifically an experiment going on, because this is a very isolationist planet. It's taken over by basically this scientific group, and they're like, no, we're going to do experimenting into this black magic quantum nanotech, which they do. And as we see in Saga of the Forgotten Warrior, that's basically the magic system. What happens is the gods, and here we are 1,000 years later, to Ashok and his people, they're talking about the gods, basically the forerunners that came before. And it's the people that had all those magic abilities and all those magic powers and all that stuff. They were doing their thing, and they were all isolated, and then something really, really horrible came. And the way it's explained in Saga of the Forgotten Warrior, because keep in mind, Saga of the Forgotten Warrior, it's not a science fiction novel because of the people. It is magic and gods, right? To us, reading it from a distance, we know this is what the spoiler is about. So something really horrible mimicked this technology. Something made a copy of it, and they wanted the original. And they came and they fought a war for it, and it was something absolutely terrifying. Now it created, and what is it? Well, we'll find out as more episodes of Lost Planet Homicide comes out. But that's because that's where it comes from, and it is nasty and it's scary. Now, what the demons are? No, I think the demons are sharks. Are they sharks because of Steve Diamond's fear? I won't call it a phobia because fear of sharks is entirely weird. No, and I don't know if Steve's on right now, but the demons are not sharks. They are constructs. They are living constructs, but they are built from the ground up as kind of a living bioweapon. That is why demons are so resilient. That's why, basically, if you look at the demons, they exist in a way to just continually exist and fight. That's what they were built for. They were basically the foot soldiers of these things built. If you remember, talk about like on Savat, they were like playing with the DNA of people. So like you had the defenders or people like Ram Rowan. Ram Rowan was basically Captain America. Okay, well, so Captain India in this case, and which is ironic because Ram Rowan's actually oh gosh, where's that from? Filipino. That's a Filipino name. And so Ram Rowan was a genetically engineered super soldier, basically. That he had the blood of the gods in him. He was of the scientific ruling class, and he was their main super soldier. And so he was the guy that volunteered to go down to the colony, because at this point in time, most of the big important stuff's in orbit. And so the land was kind of like lost. You got demon ships crashing all over the continent, or all over we don't know what happened to other continents. I never specified. That's what happens. Ashok spends 100 years wandering around, which is not in the series. And so that's what you're looking at there. So that's basically an overview of what is going on in the series and how this is looking. And Milky Blood, like the androids and alien, I just thought that was cool looking. Because I love the whole. Okay, so we had the whole black steel, and I just love the idea of it devouring light, because it's basically hungry for. It's like, ooh, electrons. I'm gonna eat electrons. You know what I mean? And I just thought that was cool, the whole devouring light type thing. So people ask me, so it's a black sword like Elric and Stormbringer and all the other mini black. And there's a lot of black swords in fantasy. It's like, no. That actually wasn't what I was thinking of at the time. It was more, I like the hungry nanotechnology angle is why I went, because it's kind of a sort of living material. And so that's where that comes from. The Milky Blood thing on the aliens wasn't specifically because of the androids. It's more just like the visual of it. because I like the idea of the aliens or the demons being pitch black, because it was kind of like a takeoff of the black steel. All right, it's because it's an imitation. One is an imitation of the other. Not as potent, but that's why there's the two sources of magic. And what happens with that is yes, let me get back to that. So you have the two things, you have the kind of dichotomy, but just the visual of it is like when you hit this thing and you finally split one open, and because they squirt like the milk colored blood, that to me just looks super cool. Like as a visual, that you'd have the super dark monster and like the white blood, kind of like was like the visual opposite. I paint minis, and to me that just like in my head looked really awesome. Okay, so do ancestor blades maintain all of the memories of all its prior users? That's embedded in there, but what is the important bit for the sword is the combat knowledge. Because keep in mind, this is a specific thing tailored by a super soldier for a very specific purpose. Now, that said, and Grufadal, because remember, all black steel is in Grufadal, and Grufadal is all black steel. It's all because it all comes from the same source. It's all basically the same growth of this metamaterial. So Ramruin had basically a craft made out of this. So the black steel weapons is he hijacks this thing, which I haven't told that story, and there's a lot of details there. Someday we'll see. Falls to Locke, goes on a what's supposed to be a one-way mission, and manages to save the people that are still trapped down there. Most of whom are not the high-class science people. They are the agrarian society of people that were there. They're just working stiffs. Right, and so Ramruin sacrifices himself to come down and throw down. He takes the black steel he has, which is the craft and weapons on board, and he basically forges the ancestor blade, which he gives to the survivors to learn magic. Now, so as far as the imprintation, that was just basically basic combat programming, additive with all the experiences of the people, and so the whole instinct thing is kind of like Spidey sense, basically. Is how it works. It's just like super advanced combat awareness and instincts, and it's like any program that continues to learn. Each user is going to have different experiences, which can augment the previous programming. Now that said, it does record everything else, but a lot of that stuff gets confused because it's not like Ungruvidal really gets human emotion as you've seen. It kind of does, but it kind of doesn't. Plus. So when it winds up with Ashok, that works out really well because Ashok also kind of does and kind of doesn't. One of my favorite compliments I got on this series was from somebody who was a little autistic, and they're like, "Man, you wrote like perfectly. Like this is a perfect look, and this is like a perfect look of the mice." I go, "Oh, thank you." And let's see, Ashok's path changes as he goes. I kind of wonder how much cross pollination there was from the Expanse's Amos character. Now I'm a huge Amos fan. TV show, not book, because as you heard on like Writer Dojo, I haven't really read most of the books, but I love the show. Was there some Amos influence on Ashok? Not on purpose. I mean, maybe because we all, take stuff in as we go, but not on purpose. I do love that character though. Like, holy crap! I don't know how close he is to the book character, but Wes Chathan plays the crap out of it. Let's see, where did you start with creating the series? Did you have some themes you wanted to explore? I found how pervasive the themes were embedded in every facet of the writing world to be memorizing. Okay, so on this one, actually where it comes from is the song Waiting for a Train by Hans Zimmer. I was writing Monster Hunter Alpha, and I always write to musical soundtracks, and Waiting for a Train was from the Inception soundtrack, which I had not seen the movie yet, so I had no context, and I was just listening to the song. It came on, and I was like, wow, that's a really cool song. And I stopped writing Alpha because this song had caught my imagination. I really wanted to write something to this song. And so I wound up stopping and writing a short story, which was basically the dinner party knife fight scene. Now, from that, the takeaway was this needs to be a world with caste systems and casteless people, and with an honor culture with dueling. And that was the main takeaway from that little short fiction piece. But that was the genesis, and now where it went from there, I've actually did a whole episode of Writer Dojo with Steve about this, where we talked about the world building. It's one of the world building episodes, but I specifically talk about the process that I used to come up with this. I can't talk for 45 minutes about that, but I did on the show. And it's basically, I always ask myself, if this, then that, then what? So if it is a world with caste systems, why? Where'd that come from? Why did they do that? Why is that their methodology? Why is that still the thing? Why is that so important? And each question I ask forces myself to think about the world and the structure of the world a little bit more. And the more I do that, the more I build it, the more it forces me to grow it. And the more I grow it, the more layers are to it, the more questions I have to ask. And so within a little while, then I had the idea. Let's see. Oh, my question was, did Mother Dawn have any degree of agency? Obviously, she had the ability to improvise, but did she have the power to choose, as we understand it? That's a really good one, because that's open-ended. Because I don't answer that specifically of how much agency Mother Dawn actually had. Now, as you saw, what she is basically leftover. She's a leftover piece of technology from the old days, and I don't really, because I leave it pretty open-ended just how much these people had knowledge they had and what all they could do and what survived. But Mother Dawn had a very specific mission, and she had very specific parameters that she had to obey. But as you notice in the series, especially because she hates Omond. She hates everything about Omond. She's been watching mankind for centuries, and Omond is like the sum total of all the stuff she hates about mankind rolled into one person. And so, yeah, she is required by her programming to let certain things happen. And once again, it goes back to the whole quantum probability angle. But beyond that, she's going to fuck with it. Now, Mother Dawn is actually a great character. I love writing her, and there's the fact that she would come and go in different forms. So I had her in the beginning. So if you only see her in the first book, it's like she shows up as a little cashless woman who knows way too much. Because at this point, I would establish cashless. They live in isolated, small lives. They're not exploring the world and getting great philosophy. As you see, as later on, it drives Thera completely bonkers trying to manage these people. But yeah, no. So Mother Dawn is interesting. So does she have full autonomy? I can't actually answer that. I think she had parameters she had to obey, and then anything outside of that, she just kind of ran wild. So yeah, let's see. I don't know if Rabbit's feeding me these or they keep popping up because I haven't checked the private chat in a minute. Okay, no, because he's feeding me these. Okay, what kind of research, books, websites, etc., did you do for the books, and how much of that research influenced the stories, characters, etc.? That's a good question. This one I actually didn't have too many book specifics. So when I wrote Hard Magic, for example, because it was a 1950 or 1930s alternate history, I read a stack of history books. I'm not joking. It was this tall. Like I hit multiple libraries and interlibrary loan, and I got out every weird thing you could think of about the 1920s, 1930s. Mostly because trying to get like a lot of like letters and actual voices and conversations and that kind of thing, and not just movies. Because the movies were very much, especially the movies from that era, were very much, gangster voice. And so it'd be like writing a book about today and thinking everybody talked like 50 Cent. Well, not today. I'm too old now. You know what I mean? But if they'd be a gangster rap videos is how everybody communicates now, and it's not accurate. For this one, because it was a pure fantasy world made up whole cloth, I didn't have that. And so I was actually, I just kind of ran with it. Now, I did do a little bit of reading because I did definitely want to do it where it's descended from, because I want to do an India theme instead of most fantasies are Western, like Western European or Viking kind of themes. And I want to do something different of that. So I decided to go with India. And that was because I went back to, like I was saying earlier, with the caste systems. So that was just a logical outgrowth. And so I did a little bit of reading on there as far as what books in particular. Nothing really. Mostly like a lot of internet articles. Because mostly I was just looking for cultural stuff and then talking to friends who come from that culture. I did grow up in California, so I have a little bit of that. And also, huge thanks to you guys seen on the internet Vindaloo Diesel. I don't know if he's on here, but Vindaloo Diesel, Dr. Nick. Dr. Nick, he's Indian, but his mom and dad are fluent, and they grew up there and know the language. So anytime you see words appearing in the series that are in Hindi, it's because I went to Dr. Nick's mom and dad. And so huge thank you to Dr. Nick's mom and dad for helping me with Indian translation. Now, speaking of which, now let's really screw with you guys, because 99.999% of my readers don't speak the language. Let me tell you some of the stuff that's said in Hindi. There's a couple scenes where this is very, very interesting. Okay, so this is cool. Do you remember the scene where Ashok gets hung on the meat hook, right? So he's fighting Sakasso, and that it becomes very symbolic. The meat hook is almost like the cross to Christians. The meat hook becomes like the symbolic thing of Ashok. He will die and come back to keep fighting for you, right? And so, big deal. When Ashok is dead, like he is hanging on the hook and he is dead, you hear the voice say something, and I'd have to grab the book here, but you guys remember the voice says something. Do you know what that voice says? Does anybody in the comments know? Oh, somebody looked it up on Google Translate. Yes, it says restarting weapon system. That is what it says. Restarting weapon system. And because keep in mind, at this point in time, Ashok is the living, he is the, because we have demon and human hybrids early in the series, but Ashok is the first and only black steel human hybrid that has ever existed in this entire continuum. So that's why Ashok basically doesn't know if he can die. Let's see. I'll get back to Evan's question in just one second, but because the other line where it's translated from Hindi, the big one where there's several exchanges is Omand when he goes to the source, which is basically the crashed section of orbital that's crashed in Gujarat up north. And Omand's exchange with the guardian god thing is basically, I have come to replace, it's like system is currently offline. Well, I'm the new system administrator, come to replace the missing system administrator. What's the password? What's your authorization and password? And it's like, my authorization is this. I can't remember exactly what it was. And it's like, what's the password? The password is Destroyer of Worlds, because this was the Forge. And then the thing's like, okay, accepted. You are the new system administrator. So it's basically just, and it's funny too, because I actually went through with, you guys didn't know what I was doing at the time, but I posted on Facebook, and I was like, hey guys, I was like, I remember, anybody remembers this post? I was like, yo, IT guys, I need kind of the exchange with like, what are like the protocol and like the terms that you would use when somebody who is the system administrator is retiring or has left, and you're replacing the system administrator with the new ones. And so a bunch of people responded like, "Oh, the protocol is kind of this, and this." Like, okay, cool. Oh, the thing he's talking to, it was like command source from the system architect. What it was, and so yes, that was and so there's a couple, and we have a couple of other exchanges in the book where I use words like where they're actually speaking the language, the ancient tongue. Because most of the settlers on Locke, the original colonists, I said they were primarily like agrarian and just regular work and stuff. They were Indian. They were from the Indian subcontinent and Southeast Asia primarily. Now, what was on the other continents, can't tell you because we don't really know, except for the fact that it is mentioned that remember when Ashok was learning about this when he was a little kid, and Ratul was telling him, yeah, they spoke different languages. They had different color skin. And Ashok's like, what? Everybody's the same color. That doesn't make sense. And the only difference is how dark you are because of how, if you're in the sun or not, you know? So to him, having different races was like a completely inconceivable concept. But yeah, so no, what happened to other continent? Couldn't tell you. That'd be about Ashok. Now, somebody just asked me, are there plans for more short stories or stories short stories that take place between the end of the book and the epilogue of the saga? Not currently at this time. Just because I have too much on my plate, because I'm in that stage of my career where I'm like launching 10,000 other things. Could there be someday stories about Ashok's journey to the other lands where it's basically unkillable Ashok or Ashok undying? Absolutely. There could be. And do I have ideas for that kind of thing? Yes, absolutely. You got a freaking vendetta-driven super soldier, black steel human hybrid who can't die, hates monsters, and the rest of the world is littered with him, and he has a curse in his blood he needs to spread, so he needs to travel the entire world, and he can't die and just really wants to get back with his wife. And which, by the way, I tell you guys, I don't know about you, but I cried at the end when I wrote those scenes. The scene where Ashok's oh man, spoiler alert for those of you that haven't read it yet. But the scene where Ashok's gathering up wet wood for the funeral pyre, dude. Oh my gosh, right in the feels. Holy crap! I got choked. I got choked up when Kita died. And man, that scene where Ashok's building the funeral pyre by himself. Oh, I died. Oh, it was so hard. When he lays down next to the body and basically takes a nap after the battle. Oh, that was so hard. Oh man. Okay, so yeah, that was good. But will there be? Can't say right now. I've got so much other stuff on my plate I'm working on. I need to clone myself because I'm writing the last 2 years I've been writing 3 books a year. I need to write 6. But I just can't. I'm human. I'm only human. Sorry, guys. Do what I can. Let's see. Oh, there are more in the private chat here. Let's see. Jack says, just say next question and I'll throw up one. That way I don't interrupt. Perfect. He is smart. Is Fifi dead, the little robot multi-tool? Is Fifi dead? No, Fifi was a little robot multi-tool. Yeah, so she is... Fifi's in Gunrunner. Fifi is not in Saga the Forgotten Warrior. I don't really understand the question. Is Fifi dead? I can't really tell you what happened to Fifi 1,000 years later. But I love Fifi. Actually, Fifi is a creation of John Brown, and just an adorable little murder robot, like a little pea-sized murder robot that really steals the show. And what happened to Fifi 1,000 years later? Sorry, guys, can't tell you. I'm sure Fifi's out there living her best life. Okay, next question. The 2 moons. Oh, good question. Okay, so the 2 moons. Now, there's a couple parts where Ashok talks about, like early on, and one of the reasons I wanted to establish that this is a fantasy world at the beginning is 2 moons. Now, you'll notice the 2 moons are named Kanda and Upagraha. Kanda literally means moon. That is the word for moon. Upagraha is the word for satellite. Now, what Upagraha actually is, and as we discover later in the series, is there wasn't one Upagraha. When the war against the demons happened, the war of the gods in the heavens, and they watched the heavens explode, there were multiple Upagrahas. There was an entire system of them. They surrounded the world. I don't know if I specified how many or not, but I did specify that some of them fell out of the sky on fire and hit the ground in various places around the world. Very traumatic. Now, the final Upagraha, we finally get to see it in action when Rada the Librarian uses the Ashura's mirror, which, as we see, the Ashura is basically like global weapon system, global targeting weapons defense system. Says we're going to use our last, basically, super weapon that is in the last arrow in Upagraha's quiver, and we're going to obliterate a ancient demon bioweapon that's been unleashed. Because the Scourge is kind of like, think in terms of like, in World War II, we're still digging up fields in France or England, and they're finding unexploded ordnance still 80 years later. The Scourge is like that on steroids. So when the demon is screwing with Omand and trying to be a dick, because that's what demons do, and it sends Omand to the wrong place, because it basically sends him to like some unexploded ordnance that gets released. And so the Scourge is just, you notice, it's just killing. And that scene is great when Jagdish and his dudes are like running from the Scourge. And Gautama, his soon-to-be father-in-law, is like, yeah, this kid will be a good son-in-law. That scene, man, holy crap, that's great. But then when Rada calls in the fire from the gods, and it just that was Upagraha's final cover. And that was one of the things that had to happen, because the demons, the main combat controller of the demons, which we just codenamed Rakshasa. He didn't call himself that. That's what the humans called him. Wasn't going to come out of the ocean until that was done, and so that had to happen. That was one of the things that had to happen in the series. So basically, Omand played his part. Mother Dawn played his part. everyone is kind of like steered into place with the whole quantum probability thing because they needed to get the main demon, the final combat controller of the demons, onto land in order to hit him with a 1,000-year-old super plague that they've been cooking. Which, by the way, I don't think anybody saw the whole thing with the blood of the castless that I've been prophesizing for 6 books. And everybody was, I think a lot of people were thinking the castless are just going to all of a sudden get their shit together and like fight. Oh, no, not at all. They're human. And no, so that was that. And yeah, so that's what what Upaggraha means, a satellite. And I had some fun with that. Okay, so next question. Will the Lost Planet Homicide stories ever see print, maybe in Target Rich Environment 3? No, not in Target Rich. Yes, in print. No, in Target Rich Environment 3, just because they're too big to do in a short story collection. At this point, what my plan is for Lost Planet Homicide is, first off, you guys can understand, business-wise, Audible pays me a lot for an Audible exclusive, and I don't get royalties, but they give me an upfront fee that is by far the best thing I've ever seen in publishing. And that way they can just give it out for free and not have to worry about giving me royalties, which perks for me because more people read my stuff. What I'm going to do is I have an exclusivity period for this with Audible for 1 year after the final episode, which I can't tell you exactly when that's because I'm squeezing these in as I can between all the other mini projects I have going on. But the plan is I would like to do at least one more for Audible that answers a lot of questions, and then take those episodes, because at that point it's about a novel in length, and I want to put a frame story in front and back and between the episodes and kind of put it all together and then publish that as a novel. Which would be basically a collection of all the Lost Planet Homicide novellas with the frame story in one package, and have basically the Lutero Cade Lost Planet Homicide novel. That's the plan currently for that. So yeah, that is in the future. Do not know exactly when that's going to happen yet, because everybody and their dog, I owe them a book right now. And so I do not have Lost Planet Homicide Episode 4 currently under contract. And so I do not know when that's going to happen yet. But man, I love Lost Planet Homicide. Have you not read those? That's my love of Gritty Cop Show is what that is. So yeah, it's gonna be rad. I really, really enjoy writing those. And the thing is, the whole tie-in to the whole bigger universe picture is fun and all, but really at its core, at its heart, it's a Gritty Cop Show in space is what it is. And I can tell so many stories of it. I just love having the last honest cop on a crap sack planet. Okay, so yeah, all right. So next question. All right, so Matthew says, I've looked at a lot of lame familiar armor since I started reading the series. Is there a particular suit or style of suit you'd seen that inspired your vision of protector armor? No, not particular. Because part of the thing is I'm not an armor expert. I've only suited up in armor once in my life. And so as a rule of thumb, if I'm writing about a subject that I know a little bit about, I will go into a little bit of detail. If it's an object where I know a lot and I'm an expert and I'm not going to screw anything up, I'll go into a ton of detail. So like if I'm writing guns, oh dude, it's going to be down to the freaking, exact. I'll tell you what the torque is on the screws for the scopes, okay? You know what I'm saying? 12 foot-pounds. Make sure you use, blue Loctite or Vibratite or whatever, okay? Armor, no, I don't know that much about armor. And so on that one, I left it kind of vague. I did like I'm a sucker for samurai-type armor, and also when I had the chance to suit up in a suit of Mongolian armor, so shout out to the guys from Invictus Armored Combat and Trey for letting me wear his armor. And our violence show for getting me suited up because I'm so much fatter than the guy who it belongs to. So they squeezed me in there with paracord and zip ties. But yeah, so I really like the Mongolian heavy armor was really wicked cool. So what does protector armor specifically look like? I couldn't tell you. I mean, you saw the Larry Elmore interpretation of it, which is really awesome. It was kind of fun because Larry Elmore was asking me questions because he's a great guy, and we were on the phone, and I'm a fanboy, and he's like, "So we talking? Are they gonna have the armor? Is it tied or buckled?" And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, Larry. Whatever. Draw what you think looks cool, because I can't tell you the answer to that. So no, I don't have anything specific on that. But in my mind, it's a cross between like Mongolian and samurai armor and Indian armor. Which honestly, that's a big one too, because when I say Indian armor, as you guys know, if you looked into that, you can do a Google search. When you're talking 200 cultures over 1,000 years, it's a very wide variety. No, so I can't actually answer that question. That's some author hand wavium. Sorry. A man's got to know his limitations. Okay, next question. There is gift is said by Sakasso to be something. Oh, sorry. There is gift is said by Sakasso to be something different than the Black Steel or the Demon. Next gen tech from the gods to help settle the war. Actually, yes. So Black Steel is the quantum super material that is crazy. Demons, the magic wrung from demons, is the pale imitation of that. What was in Thera's head was what was there before they invented Black Steel. Now, what exactly was that and how does that work is never specified. But basically, you had this super advanced civilization of the super isolationist science experiment planet, basically. And they're going nuts on their orbitals trying to invent all sorts of cracky technology. And so they already have their operating system. They have their technology that they're already using. This is the gods to the people of Locke now. And once Black Steel came along, that was like the new super weapon, the new hotness. These two things clash. This is the gods, basically. So Black Steel does its quantum computing and says, if we can get the following things to line up, there's a chance. And so basically this is a program, and it's sent down. It's like, this is what we need to have happen to get these things in line. And with the whole thing with the prophecies. So what exactly is it? I never specify because I don't actually know. I don't know the answer to that. But that's basically what it was. That's what's in Thera's head. That's the Forgotten. Now the Forgotten is kind of a dick. As Ashok discovers, the Forgotten is not necessarily a kind or merciful God. The Forgotten is on a mission. Now, is the Forgotten actually sentient on its own? I can't answer that question because I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that any more than Thera or Ashok ever did. So, hey, so some things are just a mystery to even to the guy who made it up. But yeah, no. So it's basically it's the remnant. It's the remnant of the society that came before. So, okay, cool. Next question. Scott Huggins. What's up, Scott? Scott's also a very good writer, if you guys check out Scott's books. Did the character Devados have any sort of source for you? I found him to be very human character. No, I didn't have a specific guy for Devados, but dude, I freaking love Devados. Devados is one of my favorite characters I've ever written because he's complex. I mean, there's a lot to him. On one level, he's a bad guy. On another level, he's a good guy. And he's one of those, everybody's a hero in their own story. I just love him because he's flawed, but he's a great man. And if you look at history, there's a lot of dudes who were flawed and did terrible things, but they were also great men who changed the world. And so it's so hard. So I love Devados. But do I have a specific person in mind for him? No, I don't. It's the same kind of way as like Jagdish. Do I have a particular dude in mind for Jagdish? No, I don't. In my head, he looks like the main actor from Sacred Games. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but that's what Jagdish looks like in my head. But Jagdish is just my goal. So my goal with Devados was one of those great men of history, but a flawed dude, flawed background, flawed reasoning, but a man of passion, a man of just a man of history, right? Jagdish is a dude. He's just a bro, right? And he's just a guy who's doing the best he can, who gets swept up in like just all this bullshit, man. Because if it was up to Jagdish, none of this bullshit would ever happen. He would have been happily married to Pakpa and lived his life, done his duty, been a good man, a good soldier, led his guys in battle, looked out for him, been a good dad. Jagdish is just a bro, right? And so I had him on one hand, and then I had Devados on the other. And these are basically, by this point, they wind up being Ashok's best friends. Well, I mean, Devados, they were like basically brothers. They grew up together, and so Devados was Ashok's brother, the closest thing Ashok's ever had to family. But he was a man of jealousy and pride and passions. Also, that's one reason I like sticking with Rada, which was a very unlikely romance. But if you know people in real life, that's humanity. Unlikely romances are a lot common thing. But Rada humanized him, and Devados would have been so much worse without her. So basically, Devados comes back at the end, and man, he just tries to do the right thing. He tries so freaking hard. For those last 2 books, man, he is trying to put things right. And if it wasn't for Rada, he wouldn't. He wouldn't have made that leap. And so it's one of those, anybody who's married to a good woman, you know, there's the old behind every great man, there's a good woman. That's really the Rada and Devados story. And then Rada basically becomes the queen, the good queen that Devados was not the king. He never got the chance. He lived his whole life in search of this goal and only achieved it briefly. So Devados is a tragic story, you know? But Rada, it's a good queen. Now, who does Rada wind up with? By golly, after writing those 6 freaking books, Rada is getting a happy ending with Carno. Because if there is one dude who deserves a happy ending, well, after Jagdish deserves a happy ending. But I was like, going into this, I was like, Rada, Jagdish, and Carno are getting a freaking happy ending. Period. They had to. They just freaking had to. Because I'm sorry, I'm one of those good triumphs over evil in the end. You know, the humans win, okay? And by golly, Carno is just a dude who is the pure living embodiment of a good man, a simple man, an honest man, trying to live his life according to his code. And poor Carno, man, because he gets kicked in the nuts again and again by his code letting him down. Carno never lets down anyone. Like, he always does what he is supposed to do, and he will die trying. But his code lets him down. You know, so the thing he serves lets Carno down. But he's just such a good man and an honest man. And so when Rada's like, you know, she's like, I'm queen of the world, basically now. I am the most powerful political figure that's existed in 1,000 years. Well, shit. I need a who's the best man in the world? I know a guy, you know, and so yeah, then Carno, you know, it's on Carno for president in a heartbeat. And Jagdish, man, Jagdish is just a bro. Jagdish after that, I bet he had 15 kids. And his wife ran the country. His wife wound up running Vidal. Even if she officially wasn't in charge, we all know Lady Shakti wound up running stuff. So yeah, no, great characters. Absolutely love those guys. Yeah. Okay, so next question. What was in the workshop on Fortress? Oh, okay. So this is good. So the underground city. Okay. So Ram Rowan, we know that he came down. Ram Rowan didn't expect to succeed. Ram Rowan went down expecting to fail. He wasn't supposed to go. Basically, the lower class people were written off, and like, well, demons are going to eat him. Guess that shit happens. I guess we got to just hunker down up here. And Ram Rowan's like, no, fam, I'm not down with that. And so he went for it. And so he went down and he took the remnants of mankind and stolen black steel, and which wasn't supposed to ever fall into the hands of just the regular masses. And he's like, nope, let's go for it. And so he fought. Now, part of his thing was he needed it after he won by a miracle. He's like, okay, look, they're going to come back someday. Upagraha will be exhausted someday. The demons will return to finish what they started. We need to outlast the demons. Now, on the off chance we do, and the off chance we win, which is a probability, it's a possibility. They had percentages for all this. Mankind's going to need to rebuild. And so it's a storage cache of knowledge. And we see a little bit of that in the epilogue. So we have a few things. We have Rada basically gets access to all that old information. Basically, Rada just got the Internet Archives, right, at the end. And then we have physical stuff in the city between that's under the ocean. Now, what all is in there stored, left over by Ramro? Because it actually was a city before that fell during the war. So because there was actual residences and whatnot. What it was for and what it was doing and what was stored in it is a mystery. That is stuff that is left in that 100 years. Now we do know. I left a couple little clues before that epilogue. The main purpose of that epilogue scene was an emotional one because I wanted the emotional resonance at the end of the series with the whole, "Hey, what are you going? Your obligation is not done." And Rashok's like, "My obligation's done. Mine is. I'm out." And but there was light bulbs. Did you guys? You guys caught that part, right? That there was lights in the temple, right? Now, were they light bulbs or were they something else? I don't know. I know it's but what was left in that city below the sea, I can't tell you. But it was what Ramrowan wanted to live there to rebuild. Now, why didn't he just give the people this stuff? Is because if the demons won, he's not giving it to the demons, and so it was stashed. Now, if the demons had won, what would have happened to that city underneath the ground? That was actually what the Devar Apollo was for. It was to destroy it, and it would have been destroyed. Speaking with the Devar Apollo, it crashed. It is a corrupted system, and so Ashok, when he fights the Mad God underground, it's basically it's a system left by Ramrowan. That's why it hates Angruvidal. That's why it hates Ramrowan, is because it was something basically condemned to live down there forever and blow the whole damn thing up if stuff didn't work out. That scene with the Devar Apollo is sad. It's messed up. And so Ashok, when he fights a mad god underneath the sea and brings its head back, he's like, "Hey, everybody, I killed the monster." But it's down there building mandalas out of corpses. All right, it is not well. It is not well in the head. But if you remember the conversation Ashok has, it's just basically corrupt system. It's a corrupted file that he's fighting. So yeah, good stuff. Okay, next question from Scott again. Why does the Ashura's mirror suffer damage when it drew a lot of power? Was it forced to use its own binding energy as power or something, or did its shield just leak and preferentially damage itself? Damaged by drawing on its stores, and it was really, really old. We're talking Nokia phone level toughness, but it's also over 1,000 years old. And it was asked to do something really crazy, and it would have let itself be immolated, but Rada asked for it to protect them, so it did have to draw upon its stores, because it wasn't like there was a surplus of black steel laying around other than it. And it was old and frail, and so yeah. And plus, for me, being able to put a crack in it was dramatic. So there is a technical explanation, but honestly, it was to me, it was dramatic as they're sitting there, get absolutely blasted by a death ray of unspecified nature. I didn't ever specify exactly what the ray is, but because once again, I'm not David Weber. But the bit in the crack in it was dramatic. But yeah, it basically, Rada asked it really nice to save them, and it was like, okay, that's reasonable. It's like, yeah, okay. Because Rada could have died there, and actually the plan would have went on. She became the replacement crown at the end, just because that's how it worked out, and that's why she got the floating crown at the end. But yeah, she very well could have got cooked there. That was a great scene, by the way. When they're Rada, Jagdish, and Karno, and Gautama, and those guys are just a bunch of normal soldiers, and they've got ultimate super weapon thing, and it's why is the number going backwards? Well, it's a countdown. It's a countdown to you're fucked, And they're so all us regular people are reading that oh shit, that's a countdown. Yeah. So as the scourge is trying to eat them. That was a great scene, by the way. So I love that one. That was fun. Okay, next question. Did Akersalam accept Baratos as bearer because he declared he would seek to kill Ashok as a means of getting himself Blacksteel surgery? Yes. And this is actually tragic. Baratos was a worthy bearer, and I actually like Baratos quite a bit. He was kind of a badass kid, but he was Ashok is the ultimate warrior, Blacksteel human hybrid, and and how does it communicate with its various parts is basically, it's the old Einstein talk, or was it spooky action over distance kind of thing, and it was part. I mean, Akersalam is part of the plan, and it was the next available ancestor blade, and it was like our super soldier that we need to succeed. If our probability is to work out, our super soldier needs to be as well armed as possible. And so Baratos had vowed to kill Ashok Vidal. He shows up and he's like, Akersalam, if I'm worthy, I'm going to kill Ashok Vidal. And Akersalam's like, okay, you can try. And he does, because once again, it was like the code. The Blacksteel has an inscrutable code, but part of that code was all about who's the best and who is the one who's going to be the one worthy. And that was obviously Ashok. So even without a Blacksteel blade, he defeated Baratos, who, and by any other standards, Baratos was a good dude. So yeah, that was tragic. But yeah, no, and Groovidal served him up, basically. And plus that part, Kita had served his purpose, and they had, once again, the gods are merciless, and they had reserve keeper. They had another keeper of names available. They had another priest to fulfill the prophecy. He was a psychopath. I mean, Jabed was a horrible person, but he was available, and just mathematically, it was better to deliver Akersalam to Ashok, to where Ashok could reach it, than it was to save Kita. Now, would they have saved Kita if it could? They can't control everything. All they can do is put things on the direction, and then it's up to, chance how stuff's gonna shake out. And Baratos was a dedicated dude, and he's like, "Damn the lake, drain the lake," and they did. So yeah. So that to answer that question is yes, he got served up. Okay, so next question. Didn't a sword maker creator? So yes, actually, I had this out at the beginning of the episode. Sunny Suttles, who is a custom sword maker, made this for me. This is my Groovidal. As you can see, it has the face of the law there. Now, I can't just whip this out and swing it around because it is actually sharp. It is a real longsword. It is sharper than like it is. You can mess yourself up on this thing. I'm not even joking. I've not really hacked much stuff with it just because it's so pretty. And Sonny warned me that the black coating he used to make it really dark like this will get marred if I do any real cutting with it. And that's just so I'm keeping it as pretty as possible, as opposed to like using it as a real hacker. But yeah, it is. This is the actual dimensions of Groovidal. So, like I said, Groovidal is a long sword, two-handed grip. Now, like as far as the style, that was Sonny's interpretation, because I never really specified. Because once again, just like the nature of the armor, I'm not a sword expert. I'm a gun expert. I can fake it with everything else. But yeah, so that you can see, it's pretty awesome. I would swing it around in here, but I discovered earlier before the episode started that by hearing thing on, it's really hard. And I would probably wind up cutting my face off, and that would be really awful on a live stream. If I start squirting blood everywhere, YouTube would probably give the channel a strike. Okay, next question. Gutch what was your framework for creating him? One of my favorite characters, the Humble Servant. Okay, Humble Servant Gutch, I love. And now, at the very, very beginning, Gutch is actually based upon a friend of mine, but very loosely, because the real guy is not not really Gutch, but the real guy, his last name is actually Gooch. And when I saw that there was actually a Hindi name, Gutch, that is a real name, I was like, oh, I gotta make a Gooch, and this is what I write in the first book, and so I started writing him, but the character Gutch expanded very differently than my real life friend. My real life friend is not a crooked gun smuggler and not a quick talking criminal. He's actually he's an LDS stake president. Okay, so very different type person, but the big dude, gregarious personality, real smooth talker, him. Like in the real life version, everybody loves him. He can talk to anybody. He's like super charming. And just like very charismatic, gregarious, big, funny guy. That's my friend. That's a real life friend. But then Gutch, the fictional character, evolved greatly. And oh my gosh, by the end I was having fun with that guy. Anytime you base a character on a real person, they're going to go in a different direction. That's just the nature of the beast, different worlds. But Gutch, dude, I freaking love writing Gutch, because Gutch became kind of like the epitome of the worker caste, in that he took great pride in what he did. He worked hard. He just had his own code. Everybody else had a code. All the warriors had a code. The protectors had their code. The first caste had their code. And there's Gutch. And there's the code of Gutch, which is get paid, get rich, or die trying. And his whole thing was like, man, I'm going to open a winery and have like beautiful women everywhere, and I'm going to be rich and famous, and it's going to be awesome, and I'm going to have horses and dogs. He gets that bored. Like within 6 months, Gutch is all like, what am I going to do now? And then Mother Dawn's like, hey, you want to flood the country with guns? And he's like, yeah, that's a great idea. And she's like, and you'll become the richest man in the world. And he's like, oh, I'm in. And that's Gutch, you know? And then at the end, but he's still, like I said, there's a code, right? So then at the end, when Oman, who has basically given himself the power of the ancients, as in he is the system administrator now, he's all like, like doing his big monologue at the end, and Gutch is like, hang on, yeah, I'm down. I'll I totally killed Devidos, since his guys are like aiming a cannon, and he just shoots Oman with a cannon. He's like, oh yeah, I'll totally, yeah, I'm all in, baby. But then he shoots Oman with a cannon. Oman's just like snatch, and it crunches a cannonball. Yeah, it's Gutch is a great character. Absolutely love him. Okay, oh shoot, when's this ending? I don't know. I've been talking for an hour. I guess eventually I've been drinking this giant Coke Zero. I'll probably have to go to the bathroom eventually. Okay, next question. No, you're good. Just keep going. I don't care. Except Jack probably has to get off. Poor guy. He's got a life. Javed's ending surprised me. Why did you decide to end his story in that way? Okay, now that's a really good question. I wasn't even sure how Javed started, because you know me, I outline everything. That was one that was a question mark for all the characters, because Javed to me was so interesting, because he was very much he had the Saul on the road to Damascus moment, right? And he truly did try to change his ways, right? And he really did try to do the right thing, and he felt true guilt. It wasn't until he killed Parth and Rawal, he killed those two boys, because before that he had been utterly remorseless. Javed was a bit of a sociopath, and like he was very similar to Oman. That's one reason Oman recruited him. Oman was like a pure sociopath. Oman was a serial killer, basically, with superpowers. Oman was absolutely terrifying, genius, brilliant, Hannibal Lecter kind of guy. Javed, not quite, but almost. Now, Javed also had his cause, and when he was an inquisitor, he was absolutely merciless, ruthless, murdered everybody and their dog. But it wasn't until he actually was working with the undercover as the priest that he first started to understand something else, and it started to gnaw at him. And then he killed those two boys in defense of his mission. And so at that point, we wind up with now Javid is conflicted, and then he has the Mother Dawn moment. As you guys know, that was like, holy crap. And she appears in the mini-armed form, glowing avatar of the gods, laying down the smack. Javid really does try to repent, but at his core, Javid is still Javid. So what I had at the end of the book, I had this problem because I had Toramana, who is a good man, a leader of his people, and he lost his son. And now keep in mind that this culture, man, you don't let that go. Like you duel to the death. Doesn't matter if you guys are on the same side. You will duel to the death. There's no. This is not our culture. There's no forgiveness, right, for this. And so between these two men, there has to be a reckoning. There will be a reckoning between these two men at the end. Now, how this was going to shake out, I actually wasn't sure until the very end when I wrote it. Now, why did I go the way I did? Well, because I was thinking if Javid wound up being the guy in charge of the faithful, Javid at his core was still an inquisitor. Not that he hadn't changed his ways. Not that he hadn't really kind of, let's say, going into Christianity, or he had repented. But at his core, his ideals were still that of an inquisitor. And so he's looking at the world as a challenge to be brought to heel. And so that was kind of like one of those things. So I was like, if Javid had, for the next 20, 30 years, led the faithful, they would have grown in power and become basically conquerors. And they would have put people to the sword, because that was how Javid would have led them. And so I put that up against Toramana, and it went down. I was like, between these two guys, like honestly, looking at his character, Javid would try to do what he thought was the right thing, and his right thing in this case would be to kill Toramana, and was to protect the faithful by destroying all the threats against it. Except once again, Toramana's not stupid either. And so he's got Laxmi there up his sleeve. And remember, Laxmi friggin' hated Javid. And so it's to her, he's just Sikasso. He's those guys. He's Kabir. He's the House of Assassins kind of people. And so to her, so he think, you're poisoned. Oh well, bye. Oh shit. So I didn't know how that was going to end. I really didn't until probably the last few chapters. Yeah. So sometimes, as a writer, you can go either way, and there's not really a wrong answer. But so a bit of a sociopath. So Javid's a bit of a sociopath. Omand is Hannibal Lecter. Okay. So okay. So it does on that one. That could have went either way, and I think either one would have been a good ending. So, but yeah. Okay. Next question. Okay, unless Jack might have had to drop off, guys, but I'm having fun, so I will keep going here until I get kicked off. All right, there is a lot of questions. Okay, there's one here. Let's see. Oh, Jack said to me, poor guy. I'm just like babbling here. I know I'm really part of you, but okay. Well, here we go. He's right. My oldest son would like to know what your inspiration to write all these different series is. My mortgage. No. Okay. So dead serious. When I started my career, I was writing Monster Hunter. That was the only thing I had. And I loved it. And don't get me wrong, I still love Monster Hunter. But I was sitting down actually with Brandon Sanderson, this little author, you probably haven't heard of him. But no, back then he was not a big deal author yet. He had just barely, when I first had this conversation with him, my career had just started, and he just barely gotten the deal to finish Wheel of Time for Robert Jordan. He hadn't even done it yet. But I was talking to Brandon. He was the first author who ever offered me business advice. It's kind of stuff that later on, years on, for like a writer dojo, was this kind of information that me and Steve were trying to pass on to young writers. So this is kind of stuff he was telling me, because he had several years. He had like a 6 or 7 year head start on me at this point. And so he told me, it's like, one of the best things I did for my career was I wrote Atlantis, and it was a big hit, and everybody was like, give us more Atlantis, give us more Atlantis, give us more Atlantis. He's like, and I wrote Mistborn instead. And what that did is it made, so I wasn't a one-trick pony. I wasn't just the Atlantis guy. So from that point on, I became an author that people knew could do more than one thing. And I thought about that, and I was like, okay, you know what? That makes a lot of sense because I love Monster Hunter, but I didn't want to spend the rest of my life just being the monster guy. And so I wrote Dead Six with Mike Coopery. I wrote Hard Magic. Plus, it's fun. To me, honestly, the biggest thing is when I write one series back to back over and over and over, I start to get tired of it just because writing is a lot of work, and so your brain gets tired. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not milking cows. I'm not saying my job is hard physically. It's not. It's mentally taxing. If I switch universes and I write more than one universe, when I go back to the prior universe, oh man, I'm enthused, right? So if I wanted to just write Monster Hunter over and over again, I guarantee Monster Hunter would start to suck. But if I write Monster Hunter, and then I go write Saga the Forgotten Warrior, and then I go write Tom Stranger, and then I go write Lost Planet Homicide, and then when I get back to Monster Hunter, I'm like, holy crap, I love this stuff. This is awesome. I have so many ideas. I have so much stuff I want to do. And then I go and I write Saga the Forgotten Warrior, and then I write, I write Academy of Outcasts. I write the new series for ARC, which is as of yet untitled, and I do that, and then I go back to whatever. And so I bounce between them. Keeps me happy, keeps me fresh. I know some guys are mentally, they're the kind of guys that can write the same thing over and over and over and over, and they can write 20 books in one series and keep them good. More power to that guy. I'm not that guy. I couldn't do that. I'm the guy that's going to bounce around and come back when I'm enthusiastic. So, yeah, I hope that answers that question. Okay, next question. What was the ultimate fate of the bolt in Thera's head? Cremated with her. Now, would somebody maybe who was an unscrupulous evil magic user type person maybe have tried to steal it from her dead body? They didn't get the opportunity because everybody liked that at this point in time was dead. So no, they did not. But yeah, no. So it went down with her. Now it actually at the end though it had fulfilled its purpose because its magic, its store of magic was to unleash the curse and the blood curse in the castless, which it did. Which once again I'm really proud of that one because I don't think anybody predicted that ending. I saw a lot of guys guessing what was going to happen at the end, but I don't think anybody thought that was going to happen. So yeah, it was cremated with her. Was there anything there in the remains? No, that never came up. And it's once again they built a temple on the spot as you caught during the eulogy. So there is the temple to Thera, who an unknown. One of the things I wanted to do in this series was basically these people to Ashok. They were just his friends. They were just his people. They're just people. They're just normal people. But to the masses, over time, they are figures of myth and legend. And that's why Ashok later on is considered the god of justice. And Thera is like the mother to her people. And I just wanted to have fun with that whole idea of that's how myth grows. Man, but I tell you, I cried in that scene. Holy crap, guys! I got weepy. I got emotional in that scene. I really did. Plus, that I love how Thera went out with Omand. Omand's the biggest bastard in the world, and she's like, my biggest regret is she knew, she went to her death willingly. She knew she had to die. She didn't know exactly why, but she knew she had to. And so when she's there with Omand, and she's like, "Thank you," and he's like, "What?" Because it's like, my biggest regret was Ashok was going to be mad at me because she'd think that I didn't have faith in him, and that like I let myself go, and now he's going to blame you. Oh shit, that was the best way to go out. And so Ashok is just like, oh, it's all, it's like there's like there is no force in the galaxy that's going to save Omand at that point. I love that. I'm proud of that one, guys. I don't know what you was. I was proud of that one. I nailed that friggin' ending. Okay, next question. Let's see. Brett says, off topic, what minis do you paint? We need to see some more. I have not painted much, actually, for the last year. I've been doing other stuff, and just haven't had a chance. And also, I need to get my glasses changed because my close range. I've been nearsighted, And so I had glasses for shooting and driving and whatnot, but I actually now am losing my close-up vision, which if you guys could see my computer screen, like I have like the words blown up super big. But no, I need to actually get some new glasses and start painting again. It's been a while. I haven't painted. Mostly I paint Corvus Belli Infinity Minis. I don't really know if I could pull my camera off and show you my office, but I have thousands of them. I have probably, geez, guys, I have 5,000 minis in my office. But I actually not painted much for the last year because I have been really concentrating on shooting. And I really only have time for like one hobby at a time. And for the last year, I've been really shooting and doing jujitsu. So basically the hours that I would normally be painting minis for the last year, I've been doing a couple other things instead. I'm really good at shooting. I'm really good at painting. I'm absolute dog crap at jujitsu. But it's fun. Okay, so next question. Any plans on revisiting Grimnor? Maybe short stories about the Great War? Yes, actually, there are plans for Grimnor. I have a whole other trilogy planned. When will it happen? I do not know. That's kind of the key. I don't know the timeline of when it's coming out or when I'm going to get to write it. But I actually do have the outline and the basic outline, not a detailed outline because there's like a multi-stage process. I'll have a basic outline for the story of another Grimnor trilogy. When is that coming? Could not tell you. Sorry. But I just have other things that keep getting in the queue ahead of it for business reasons, and it hasn't fully gelled in my mind yet of exactly the story I want to tell. But yes, there is a plan for a full-on trilogy set in the 1950s, which was teased by Tokyo Raider and Murder on the Orient Elite, those short stories. So to answer that question, yes. Okay, next question. Were you surprised that your George R.R. Martin dedication went viral? Not really. I knew that would rustle some jimmies. When I went into that knowing that it was going to piss people off, and I did it anyway, and I had a lot of fun with it. It was totally worth it, and I would do it again. People did get super butthurt over it, but you know what? It's okay. I've talked about it in depth. I've talked about it a lot on the show, honestly, for years before I wrote this dedication. I talked about it on Writer Dojo. On a personal level, it just offends me as a guy who has a work ethic. And then on another level, on a personal level, he was just kind of a dick to me, and so it was a chance for me to be kind of spiteful back. Which is the funny thing, because a lot of people on the internet was like, "Oh, you're just doing this out of jealousy." It's like, no, it's a personal emotion, but it's not jealousy. It's spite. And so yeah, no, I thought it was fun. I thought it was fun. Like the big headline thing was like, it's like he pokes fun at him, and it's like, yeah, it was fun. I mean, I had fun with it. So no, did I realize how viral it was going to go? Nah, but that's one of those. Anytime with viral stuff, it's just a crapshoot. I mean, the most viral things I've ever written in my life have been about gun control. So who knows? You just toss crap out there, and who knows what happens. So okay, next question. Steve Smith says, Ashok couldn't feel fear. Javed couldn't feel empathy. Did that make them easier tools for the Forgotten to use? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. The was overall part of the plan to pick these broken individuals that could be molded into the roles that they needed to fulfill. Maybe. I can't say if Black Steel is actually that cunning as far as human nature or not. My main thing with like Javed was just a broken person, so I enjoyed writing that. It made him more interesting to me. Ashok being without fear was actually from the very beginning of the series, because I love that idea of making a man without fear, but it wasn't necessarily a good thing. Like, it wasn't like he was a hero without fear. It was more that Bedea wanted him to die fast, and so she had Kuehl break him, basically. Because you think about a guy without fear, he's not going to have that. He's going to do stupid crap, and he's going to die. Except Ashok just thwarted it. He was still analytical, and so he was like, he had a logical. It's like, if I do this, my odds of survival are very low. But so he didn't have the inhibition of fear, though, and so it actually worked out against Bedea's plan. But yeah, no. So was that part of the Forgotten's plan, though? That I don't know. Maybe. I couldn't tell you that. So that didn't enter into my thought processes on it when I was writing. So, Sometimes writers, we do stuff that's really brilliant and it's on accident. Like one time, if you ever read the short story, Father's Day, it actually lines up perfectly with Peter Pan, believe it or not. And so I had this fan come up to me and they're like, wow, I can't believe you just took the Peter Pan, mythos and like twisted it in such an interesting way to make this story that was so weird, unique, sci-fi horror story. And I was like, I did what? And then she starts walking through all the parallels between Father's Day and Peter Pan, and I had no idea because I'm not like into Peter Pan. I had no idea, and so she listed off like 5 these huge parallels in the story, and I'm like, wow, if I had done that on purpose, I am brilliant. But I had no flipping idea. I had no idea until she told me that. And I had to go back later and look it up. And I was like, wow, that really does line up really well. But no. So sometimes we do brilliant stuff that's not on purpose. Okay, so next question. What did Rada see through the telescope? Okay, yeah, so she actually saw the ring. So when I was going back to the beginning of this, I guess we call it an episode, I was talking about the gate travel, and so that's how people reach from system to system. And Rada saw the gate, or the remains of the gate. It was actually sabotaged. It was destroyed to protect the rest of the universe and to cut off this planet and this system from everything else. Now the details around that couldn't say, but it was a long time ago. We got some real weird shit going down in this one system where basically space aliens are trying to steal the ultimate doom technology that alters the fabric of space-time and reality. We're going to go ahead and just shut that nozzle. We're going to just shut that gate and just, not. We aren't fucking with that. And so yeah, that's so that's what Rada saw through the telescope. Also, the astronomers. Part of the thing with the astronomers is they were supposed to be watching if anything ever returns. Not that they really remember a lot of the old ways, that stuff's lost. But if like the gods come back, the astronomers are supposed to be the ones that alert everybody else. Which is why Rada is like reading them the riot act, because all this stuff went down and they didn't do their job as first cast to like take care of the people. So, okay, next question. We have a lot of these. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Okay, and let's see here. Where are we at? Unless we lost Rabbit. Let's see. Okay. What advice would you give for writing a series? Actually, we quick answer. We have an entire episode of Writer Dojo about that topic. Actually, we might have 2. So if you search here or on the Spotify page, just put in, series into the various titles. Or look at series, look at trilogies. Search for those, and I know we have at least 2 episodes where we talked about the difference between writing standalone books and writing series. And me and Steve go into a lot more detail there than we can here. Okay. Next question. I'm just getting back here, so this may have been asked. Apologies. So, how does Ashok know his time is almost up at the end of the heart of the mountain? Basically instinct. He knows it's accumulation of this. And the guy is a living. Well, we did talk about this a little bit earlier. You probably missed it, but Ashok is a black steel and human hybrid at this point. So he is basically super soldier melded with quantum nanotechnology that can't die anymore. And he is also, we got into what was said in Hindi, and he is a living weapon system. And so a lot of his instinct, as far as like when the clock is running down on his life, he knows it. There's stuff that's being told to him, that he doesn't, that we're not privy to. Let's see. Okay, guys, I think we are out of time. I've kept my question answerer going. We're gonna have to do this again because that was fun and there was a lot of stuff, but it looks like it's tapering off. So, guys, we are out of time. I'm being texted by my video game team. They're like, "Want to play?" And I was like, "Oh, geez, guys!" So my Call of Duty team is waiting for me, and So thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming. I think that was a lot of fun. We will have to do this again another night. So we'll do an expanded AMA another night. And thanks, guys. I appreciate it. This will be recorded and will be posted to the YouTube channel so that if you didn't get a chance to listen to the whole thing, you can later. Tell your friends. And all right, we're going to peace out. So thank you, guys. And I am clicking